What's up, everybody? It's Don Michelle. This is me starting with a great thumbnail. Let's see if I can get one like this. How are you guys doing? Man, it's been super cold here today. And how do you like it when I make my eyes so wide that it looks like they're just gonna pop right out of my head? It's kind of scary, isn't it? I kind of try to be like squinty so I don't look too crazy because I've got big eyes. I always have. I was born that way. Speaking of from the beginning, we are doing the origin stories, and today I'm going to talk about last time I talked about how Firefly came together. Firefly has been together since the year 2000, so that's like 18 years now, guys. That's a long time in band years, because band years are like dog years, so we're like 100 years old. We're a 100-year-old band, so cut us some slack, you know. We're really elderly. Anyhow, so last time I talked about how Firefly came together, and it's been a wild and exciting and awesome journey. We've been able to go all over the place. I travel out of the country a bunch of times. So many cool countries and so many incredible people. And we're so blessed and so thankful. We used to say, I mean, for the last, like, I don't know how many years we've been saying, you know what, if it ended today, I'm so thankful. I hope it doesn't, but if it does, I'm so thankful for everything that we've already done. And for all the people who have shared with us about how the music has meant something to them. I mean, there's really no bigger reason to continue than because the music has made a difference in people's lives. And if it hadn't, we shouldn't have started in the first place. But anyhow, you know, times they are changing. I'm sure you've noticed that we haven't been touring as much. I've got a little boy, and Glenn and Wendy have a little boy, and you know, we've just been kind of evolving. So anyhow, what I'm going to talk about tonight is origin story of where did this whole worship project idea come from? Is that just what, you know, people in Christian band do, you know, when they get tired of making rock music or whatever, they'd make a worship album? So I could see how it'd be easy to think that. Not because we've seen that example anywhere, but I'll tell you the real behind the story about why I decided to make a worship album. So this all started like 4 years ago. And what happened was my husband, Matt Lott, who's the bassist in Waverly, he, and then later bassist traveling with House of Heroes for a while, he got a job offer to be on a radio show all the way in Albuquerque, New Mexico. And this was this incredible offer with this incredibly high price tag on it that we would have to move away from the East, away from Nashville that we love, in order to go all the way to Albuquerque, New Mexico, so he could have this opportunity to see if this would be a new chapter in his life and a new career, you know, and what would that mean for our family. So we did it. It was such an incredible opportunity. We just had to take the good with the bad and go for it. And so we moved to Albuquerque. Well, the rest of the band was still in Nashville, so that's pretty far distance. But we were traveling all the time, and we had other members who would come and meet up from time to time, starting at a different location. So I would just come in early to tour rehearsals, you know, fly in. We'd do tour rehearsals and then take off from there from Nashville. So anyhow, we'd been there about 2 years, and it was about a year after my little boy Johnny was born. We were trying to figure out, you know, where's the balance here? Johnny was born, and then like maybe 2 months after he was born, 3 months, I was back to traveling, back out on the road. We spent this huge, long 3-month tour out, and it was a tough tour. A lot of tough situations where we went, and some people, you know, promoters like not being ready, not having a check at the end of the night and things like that. So it's kind of stressful. And by the end of it, I've got a little baby in tow. We've got little Phoenix with us. And at the end of that tour, we finished it off with, I think, a week long, maybe it wasn't even a whole week, but we went to Europe, and it was like a whirlwind kind of situation. I brought baby Johnny along with me as well. And it was wild. So we finished that tour off with an exhausting trip to Europe. And when we got done, we're like, man, let's reevaluate. Let's see how often we're going to be out. Let's see how things should look moving forward in the future, because we're just really tired. and we're really worn out. So we were trying to figure out what to do, So that next year we kind of did less shows. I was still traveling a lot with the band, but it wasn't as much as we used to do. And by the end of that year, I was trying to figure out, well, okay, so the band's not doing as many shows, when you don't work as much, you don't make much money. And we need to figure out, okay, so what's God calling me to do? What should we do moving forward? Now we've got Johnny. I can't just take off and do all sorts of whatever I want because I've also got little guy in tow. And if you want to work, you have to be able to have childcare for your child. And for those of you who have children and have to get childcare, you know that it's so expensive to get childcare, or at least safe childcare, that you almost have to get 2 jobs in order to afford to put your kid in childcare for that first job you were trying to get just to make ends meet. So anyhow, it was a lot of decisions and a lot of stuff that we were trying to figure out what's the new life look like if Fireflight's doing kind of less shows, because we used to be gone 3 weeks out of the month, gone all the time. So now if we were just doing 2 or 3 shows a month, that looks really different. So anyhow, we were just praying, God, what do you want me to do? What's going to happen? What does this look like? To get a job that pays enough for childcare, I mean, it can't just be like a flexible job usually, it has to be like a career. And if I sign up for some career job, I can't keep doing 2 or 3 shows, 4 shows a month with Fireflight. I'll have to quit that ministry. And I didn't feel like God was telling me that I need to quit Fireflight. So anyhow, what happened, it kind of happened in a kind of strange way, but there's this huge church out in Albuquerque called Sagebrush. And I had never been there. I'd heard of it. I'd drive by it and be like, whoa, look at that place. It's huge. And it just so happened that one of the guys who was on the worship team there at Sagebrush, he was friends with Steve-O, who was on the radio show with my husband, Matt. And Sagebrush is so focused. They have a huge music focus. They really believe in ministering through music. And every service they have, praise and worship, and then they have a message, or maybe before or after. The order changes sometimes, but they always have a song that really hits home the message. And anyhow, so they call them feature songs. So I guess they had decided they were going to do a Fireflight song for one of their feature songs that went along with the pastor's message. And I guess they're all like, oh, I heard that Dawn from Fireflight lives here now. And they're like, what? Yeah, totally. And so one of the guys there, he hooked up with Steve-O because he knew that my husband worked with, her husband works on the radio station with Steve-O. Oh, I know Steve-O. So they contacted Steve-O, and then Steve-O texted Matt and said, hey, do you think, I'm thinking maybe they'd like Dawn to come be the one to sing when they do the feature instead of having, just a local singer come up when the band plays it. And so that all the way around the grapevine, Matt's like, hey, Steve-O says the Sagebrush would like for you to come and sing. And I'm like, when is it? And it was, I think, one of the first weekends in December. And I was like, well, I'm in town. I mean, I guess, I can go do that. And so I was like, okay, I'll go do this. I didn't know what to think. I never done anything like that before. Whenever I sing Fireflight songs, I always am with Fireflight. So I went and went to this huge church. And I've always pretty much liked to go to smaller churches. I think because we've toured for so long, been on a lot of big stages. When I got back on Sunday, I was ready to just kind of have something that was more quiet and more intimate and not like a lot of production involved, because it was, I don't know, I guess once you have a lot of one thing, you kind of tend to want to swing the other way when you're not wrapped up and caught in the middle of that. So anyways, we go here to this mega church and just start meeting the people. They're like, hey, we're so glad to have you and all this stuff. And we were just blown away by the kindness of these people at this huge church called Sagebrush. And I went and did the song. They had 5 services. They've got Saturday night services and Sunday services. They've got 10 campuses, all sorts of stuff. It's a really big church. I haven't really spent, other than going to play shows, I haven't been to many church services at big churches. Like I said, I usually went to small ones. So anyhow, we just were blown away by how kind they were. I was like, man, they're so nice here. This is awesome, and had a great time going and just doing that one song, even though it felt so strange to be singing Fireflight's song and looking behind me, and Glenn and Wendy weren't back there, and Netta wasn't back there, and Justin wasn't back there. But it went fine, and it went really well. So anyhow, that was a fun time that I got to hang out with the guys at Sagebrush. And then it was like the next month. So like I said, I was in this time of transition where I was like, God, what am I going to do? I don't want to quit Fireflight, but if I'm not going to quit Fireflight, and we're going to be doing less shows, I have to balance out my income somehow. So I need, we need these three things. This is what we need, to make ends meet. This is what we need for Johnny because we have to have childcare, if I'm going to work. And, this has to be like, this is specifically, what we've got to have in order to keep making this work. If I can keep doing the ministry with Fireflight as well. It's really hard to make all those line up. So anyhow, I think it was the following January that we were back. I was back from traveling again, and I think we were going to a church in the South Valley, a really sweet, wonderful little church, and we really liked it a lot. And it just so happened, but it was kind of like a 25-30-minute drive to get there, and we didn't get ready fast enough, and we knew we were going to be really late and miss worship and stuff like that. And I hate that. So we would always drive by Sagebrush on our way to the South Valley to go there. And so I was like, man, we're so late. We've really done a bad job this morning. You probably had this happen to you before. And we're driving by Sagebrush, and I was like, there's Sagebrush. You know what? We're right on time for Sagebrush. Why don't we just go? And so we went to Sagebrush, and we just so happened to be going on their recap Sunday. It was like the first Sunday in January, something like that. And they had created all these videos showcasing excerpts and stuff from all of the Sundays, all of the outreach events, everything they've been doing all year long. And so we show up and we get to watch this incredible montage and everything where they're celebrating everything that they did the last year. And they're talking about all the things they achieved and all that kind of stuff for God. So we watched all this and I was just like, whoa, I was blown away because I've been to some mega churches and it really kind of felt like a country club, or it felt like this really awesome, beautiful building for Christians to come to, but they didn't seem like they were doing anything for outreach. They were really focused on, maintaining this giant organism that they had created that they didn't really, I don't know, it just didn't seem like they were doing that much for people outside of the church walls. And I don't like that kind of thing. So anyways, we go in and we're like, I was flabbergasted by all this church was doing all over, like not just in our country, in other countries. So many helping. They had all the mechanics would come. I think it's like the first Saturday of every month. All the mechanics in the church would come and donate their time in this huge parking lot. And all the single moms and the elderly could come and get their cars worked on for free. And I was like, dang, that's awesome. And it was just thing after thing. They just got done stocking all the food pantries, no matter who it was, throughout the whole city. And they were just so much outreach. They were totally facing outwards. And I was like, man, you know what? This church is really big. And I'm really skeptical about big churches. But it really seems like God's growing them because they are doing so many awesome things. And we were just really impressed. And I think it was like the next week that we got a phone call. Well, actually, Matt, it's really funny. I always joke that Matt was my manager at this point because one of the guys, because like I said, it was like through the grapevine that they asked for me to come and perform the feature song. So one of the guys gets in touch with Matt and he said, hey, what would Dawn think about maybe coming on staff part-time at Sagebrush as a worship leader? And we're like, whoa, I don't know. And I was like, oh God, no, please no. Because I didn't know another backstory because I've spent so much time in so many churches across the country. And even like from just starting up young as a young Christian, I've just seen a lot of not so great things in churches and just, been really disappointed by people. It's just people, whenever they always say the church was perfect until, all the people got there, but everybody makes mistakes. And that's true. But because of that, I'd always tell Matt, I've always prayed that no one in my family would ever work for a church because it just seems like, when you pull back the curtain, you get behind the scenes, sometimes you're not so happy with what you see. And it really can make it hard to celebrate God when you walk in there, if that makes sense. I'm just going to be honest with you guys. So anyhow, not to mention, like I said, mega churches, not my style. Small churches, really great. I'd love to help, all that kind of stuff. And anyhow, so suddenly we get this phone call about me maybe going on staff at a church. And I was like, please don't let me do this, God. Please don't make me do this. I always said I don't want to work at a church. I really don't want to work at a church. I don't want to go there and have all my illusions shattered, please. But we agreed because we were looking for a solution. We were looking for what the next step was, and we've been praying about it. One of the three things is it needed to be part-time, so that I wouldn't have to be completely absent from Johnny's life. We wanted to be involved as much as possible. here they are talking about a part-time job. Ding, ding, ding. That was requirement number 1. So I said, okay, let's go talk to them. So then, then I got to go and meet up with the head pastor and, the head of the head worship leader, and just talk to him about everything that was going on and what they were interested in, and I had these 3 requirements. We knew exactly what we kind of needed to make in order to get by. We knew that it needed to be a part-time job, and we knew that it needed to be flexible so that I could continue to travel Fireflight. So anyhow, we go and have this meeting, and it's like ding, 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 down to like the T, to the dollar sign exactly of what we knew we needed in order to make things work, so that I could be able to continue with Fireflight and still be able to make it balance to the fact that we weren't doing so many shows anymore and our income had gone down. So anyhow, by the end of this meeting, we go home and I'm looking at Matt and he's like, and I was like, it's all of the answers to our prayers in a package that I wasn't expecting. And I started having so much anxiety, but I knew that obviously God was speaking so clearly. This is what I needed to do. And so, I just felt like, all right, this is what God's put before me. This is the door that I needed to walk through. And so I did. We called them back and we said, yes, we're going to do it. So I started this job, and this is like the first like structured job I've had since like working at the Parks and Rec when I was in high school, after high school, before college started, and then like summers during college, I worked at Parks and Rec, and that was playing with kids, never structured. And then after that, I was a teacher for like a school year and a half. But this was all a long time ago, guys, a long time ago. So this is my first structured job in a long time. I'm used to traveling with a band. It's really not an easy lifestyle, really hard, but I knew what to do, And now here I was going to get my business casual clothes on. I was going to go into the office and feel like a complete fraud. But I said, God, this is what you want me to do. And so I go in and I start finding out, the fullness of everything you want me to do. I was getting to help lead worship on Sundays, and I was getting to help be a mentor to all the female vocalists. They have so many branches, so many campuses rather, and tons and tons. Everybody has their own worship team at each campus, tons and tons of volunteers who are coming in there, giving their very best. All these women up there helping to lead worship, and I was the first female on the worship team staff. And this was really kind of daunting because I would go and sit in the meetings and I'd be the only lady. But, I'm kind of used to that, being out on the road with a bunch of dudes and bands and stuff like that. So it wasn't that far off. It was kind of a good fit. But, man, I just fell in love with being there. I fell in love with every part about it. Sagebrush was such an incredible church. It's such an incredible church. Everybody was working there, had such great hearts, And it wasn't perfect, but, man, I think we all know that nothing's perfect. And they were really getting the job done in a great way. So then I was like, okay, so now I'm going to be mentoring these all these women, who are singers. And I thought, how is this going to go? I made me kind of nervous because, these women have worked really hard. They've had to audition to be on these praise and worship teams, these things like that. And here I come in out of nowhere. And I'm sure if I were them, I would be thinking, oh, I see. So she's in a band. So now she gets to be on staff. Fantastic. Oh, I see how that goes. And I'd probably have a really bad attitude about it. So this is what I expected. And I didn't know what to think. For me, with us traveling so much and being out on stages all the time, when I got home on a Sunday morning, I did not want to be on the stage. Not at all. I was like, you go, you got this. This is awesome. It ain't me. I'm going to be in the back. I'm going to be getting my praise on, but I'm not going to be getting on stage because I've had enough of that during the week and during tours and yada, yada. So be going up there on stage and singing a lot more, singing worship and doing features and things like that. I thought, are these women going to be looking at, oh, great, I only got to sing one feature last year and now we've got someone on staff. So am I ever going to sing a feature again? All these things. There's a lot of dynamics when it goes to any kind of business, any kind of place where there's more than people kind of working in one room. And so I didn't really know what it was going to be like. But I started having meetings with these women, and it was pretty incredible because I felt God doing just a huge work there in my life. And I got to see so many awesome things happen because it wasn't competitive. These women, these young women and ladies, they, it wasn't anything like I was afraid it would be. It was really about confidence, teaching confidence and helping people to come into the fullness of what God has created them to have. and to be, we're all given giftings, and these women were given the gift of singing, and they needed to sing with everything that they were, but they're probably singing with everything they were afraid of instead. And so I really got to spend a lot of time talking to people about what was going on in their lives. What are the things that, how are they hurting? How are they winning and how are they losing just on a daily basis? And it was going through all these things that was helping us work them towards accepting who God says they were instead of who their circumstances said they were. And I saw so much growth and so much freedom, and improved singing, was just the icing on the cake. And that was incredible for me because like I have a bachelor's in psychology. I love people. Like people, are the most interesting and wonderful thing in life to me. That's my favorite thing. So to be able to be a part of these women's lives, they would be able to, just give me a glimpse of what they're going through and just try to encourage them just with saying like, hey, I've been there. Let me tell you about it. And let me tell you what God taught me and all these things and how God brought me through on the other side, things like that. Man, I can't think of a cooler way to live, So God took this thing where I was totally didn't want to be there. I didn't know what to expect. I thought it was going to be a nightmare. I was scared to death. I felt totally out of my element and over my head. And it really became something that I couldn't have been more suited for. And it was all his plan. So I want to encourage you in whatever it is that you're feeling like God is calling you to face in your life, that nobody knows you better than him, not even you, because you have a lot of fears and a lot of things that you don't line up with the truth. And I can tell you that for a fact and certain because I know myself, I'm the same way. So this experience was just so incredible to me. And another big thing that hit me was being able to go up and lead worship and be a part of so many people's, and I kind of don't like the term lead. I like facilitate. I know that's splitting hairs, and I don't get all splitting hairs all the time about it because I know everybody means well intentionally most of the time. But, I don't think I can take anybody anywhere, but maybe I can help them. Maybe I can facilitate them get to a place where they are worshiping. And there's nothing better than worship. I probably said this before in past videos, but I really believe there's worship is such a special time because, we say so many things, we see so many things, we do so many things all day long that kind of fall short. The way we think, we got stinking thinking, or we say something we shouldn't say, or we say negative things to ourselves, like I'm not good enough, yada yada, or we behave in ways that we don't act in faith, and it kind of shortens our joy and shortens our lifespan and shortens all sorts of things. It brings death because the wages of sin is death. But when you are worshiping, the things that are coming out of your mouth, the words that you are thinking about, and even if you're getting into it, the movements of your body. Everything is lining up with the truth about who God is, and you're talking about the greatness of God. There's nothing more fantastic or wonderful than that. So in those moments that you are worshiping, you are never more centered, you are never more in the truth, you are never more free to break out of the lies that you live in from day to day, and you're never more plugged in to the power source. And God is our power source. He is the one wanting to give us blessings. He is the one wanting to give us healing. Not just physical healing, but healing of our mind and understanding that this life is temporary. All these physical things, very temporary, not super important, but it's all that we see all day. And so that's all we can see. And we get so distracted and we forget how powerful God is. And we don't live according to that. But when we are worshiping, we are plugged in to the conduit of God. And so in these moments, it's a powerful time. If we will really connect with God in those times, he will heal us, he will deliver us, and he will make all of the mountains in our lives become molehills in our own eyes. And then we'll live accordingly, and they will be so. Because he calls things that aren't as they are. And so anyhow, worship is so important. And getting to facilitate and be involved in so many people's worship experience, that's incredible. Really incredible and really powerful. And I've always kind of felt that the music we did with Firefly was a form of worship, and I truly believe that. But we were also really focused on messages and communicating and things like that. But in worship, you're really just out and with God. And that's a really special kind of a unique facet. And so I loved it so much that I really got re-energized and passionate about worship. And then the other part about it was sometimes I would look out and I would see that it didn't seem like very many people were really kind of having success and plugging in, and not judging people by like their appearances or whatever, but I mean like looking at their phones and staring off in other ways, or obviously giving you the watermelon, blah 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 blah. Someone once called the worship service Christian karaoke. And that's kind of funny, but some of them, it did seem like this was just Christian karaoke. They're up there singing the words. They wish they had a bouncing ball to help them with the timing a little bit more. And that was all there was to it, you know? And I know it's so hard coming off the street, coming off what you're going through in your life to just plug right in, you know? It's not so easy. And so that just ignited this passion in me to, you know, be a facilitator and help people plug in, help people get there, you know, help people step out of whatever this heavy suit they've walked in with, of the weighing them down, that's keeping them from being able to plug in before worship time is even over, you know? And so I thought, man, if I could be a part of writing songs that people are able to use to tap into the conduit of God's love, to glorify God in worship, how spectacular. And so that's where I started thinking, man, maybe I should take all this that I'm learning, everything that I'm experiencing, and channel it into a project. And so I took this idea and I went back to a personal champion of mine, Rusty Van. He was one of the producers on our last album, Anova, and just a fantastic person, and always has given me so much confidence. Not in the vocal booth, he's terrifying when I'm in the vocal booth because he's a perfectionist. But I push through those times, and he brings out the best ever. But every other moment just has given me so much confidence in myself and just really believed in me. And I said, man, I think I might want to do a worship project. He's like, let's do it. Let's find investors. Let's make this happen. And it was that, him having so much confidence and being willing to even help me find investors and things like that, that really made me think, okay, you know, maybe this is supposed to be. And so that's why I started this journey into a worship project. And I'm really excited about it. The music is coming along, and I'll probably be inviting you guys to help us be able to release it possibly soon. So it's all kind of up in the air, and we're figuring things out, you know, as you do when you're doing things on your own. But man, I am just blown away by everything that God's been creating in these songs so far. And I'm so stoked, and I can't wait to share them with you guys. And I can't wait, hopefully, for churches all over the world to be able to use them to help people plug in and to get their breakthroughs, you know, and for God to be glorified, and for them to experience the joy it is to be one with God and to celebrate his goodness and to be lined up with the truth in their times of worship. Okay, guys, I know I was long-winded on this one. The next one, I'll probably not be talking so much. But thank you so much for watching. And we'll be making a new one, making a new video probably to release next Tuesday. So keep an eye on it. And Thursday we should be doing a Finding Your Light Devo. So tune in for that too. Keep coming back here. Please share and like the videos. However that works for you guys on your social medias, that helps to get the word out. And I just want as many people to know about the project as possible. Hopefully, so as many people as possible will just really be blessed and know how much God loves them. So thank you for watching, and you guys have a great time till I talk to you again.